Hey everybody, it's Conrad from ConradRocks.net. Rocks of Revelation being poured out to you. My passion is for you to have a spiritual relationship with the biblical Jesus. I don't just podcast. I don't just do YouTube videos. I don't just do blog posts. We go out and minister to people one-on-one, and sometimes we hit the streets. And today we're going to be talking about ministering at the casinos, ministering to the homeless, and I'm going to provide some pictures, audio clips, maybe some video clips. But first, I need Jesus.
I need you, Jesus. I really need you in my life. I said I need you, Jesus. I really need you in my life. You know I need you, Jesus. I really need you in my life. I said I need you, Jesus. I really need you in my life. I'm tired of going through the same thing, running in and out of change, going down a bad lane. It's time for a real change. I need you, Jesus. I really need you in my life. I said I need you, Jesus. I really need you in my life.
Man, I love that song from LaShonda Wilson Nicole. I need you, Jesus. How can anything be any more true? Anyway, we're going to back up a little bit. Thursday, Joseph came over. Susan was teaching, so Joseph and I went out to ministry. We went to Fort Mariposa. Nobody was there. And so then we decided to go to the casino. And here's Joseph and I talking and kind of recapping in the car.
Hey, everybody, it's Conrad and Joseph, Team Jesus, coming at you from the Hard Rock Casino
in Biloxi.
So we went to Fort Mariposa. We got our Team Jesus. Nobody was really there. And it hit me, man. Let's go to the casinos.
Yeah.
And guess what, dude? That was God. Because the time we wasted at Fort Mariposa was not wasted time. Johnny Gasson from Reach My City. What's up, man?
Hey, man.
Download the Reach My City app.
Yes, like pronto, man.
It's an awesome app. You download it and you touch people with it and they get saved. No, check it out.
Repent.
The Reach My City app with Johnny Gasson. Anyway, so we're out there on Fort Mariposa, man, and nothing was happening. And I'm like, let's go to the casinos. So here we are at the Hard Rock Casino. And Joseph, who did we talk to?
Where to begin? The first lady was.
She's actually still here, right across the street.
Her name was like
Silence.
Bizarre. Yeah, her name is actually Silence.
Amen.
When I said, "Hi, my name is Joseph. What's your name?" and she said, "Silence." I said, "Okay,
Be quiet."
But anyway, she is searching for God.
Oh, man.
And no offense to all the churchgoers, but she is church hurt.
Yeah.
Her heart is broken for some reason. She didn't disclose that. But Conrad gave her a bunch of good words from God, and she was playing it off like she wasn't listening, but she took it all in.
Yeah. That was a divine appointment,
It was definitely
I
divine.
fell down to my knees. I said, Lord, I need to know if you're real. I need to know now. I heard this voice go off in my head. It said, open your eyes. Then he said, read the instructions. And I was a different person after that. Completely changed. I closed my company. I had 50 employees, a penthouse on the beach, boats and cars. I ended up living in a room. But making money was not important to me anymore. Yeah. But anyway, God's changed my life. Can you relate to that at all? What do you think about Jesus and Christianity?
Okay. Here's my thing. I don't believe in religion. Okay? Don't care for it. The cause of every
Neither do we.
every battle that we've ever had, every war that we've ever been in has been over stupid religion. I've been done away with it.
Yeah, the Crusades. It goes back to Constantine in around 325. They say he had a vision where the cross is in the sun. Under this symbol, go forth and conquer.
Right.
Well, Jesus didn't say do it militarily. He told his disciples, they will know that you're my disciples by the love we have. So it's, what we believe people have really ruined the church, what Jesus meant for the church.
Well, of course you do.
Yeah.
You put people in it, what are you going to get?
But when you say you've got a problem with religion, though, you got to kind of disassociate that from the Jesus of the Bible.
Look,
He was not violent.
Jesus said, split a piece of wood and you'll find me. Look under a rock and I'm there. But I'm not in buildings made of wood and stone.
That's the Gospel of Thomas, which I don't think.
So you can see here that Silence has some animosity towards the institutional church. And that's something that we run into a lot down here in the Bible Belt. And this is why, statistics say like 1 million people a year are leaving the institutional church. They're leaving Jesus so much. And this happens a lot. We run into that a lot. I could relate to this because, and I'm going to share in a little bit, and I'm sorry about the audio, but I'm going to share a little bit how, I had supernatural experiences as a kid, and the church kind of rejected me. And then you go into the New Age, and this is why she was reading the Gospel of Thomas. The Gospel of Thomas was made popular in a Dan Brown movie, I think The Da Vinci Code. Also, you might find it in some weird books like the Lost Books of the Bible and so forth. But it did not make the canon for a reason. If you read the Bible and then you read the Gospel of Thomas, you'll go, oh, I see why it didn't make the canon. So anyway, people think church is a building. People met in homes, and Joseph is going to be talking about that here in the next clip. People actually met in homes for hundreds of years before the buildings were sanctioned by Constantine in around AD 325. There may have been some buildings in the 200s, but basically they met daily from house to house.
Then they congregated in somebody's house. Like 1 week we would gather in your house. We would eat and sing and praise God and tell each other stories about what happened during the week. Next week it might have been, or daily actually. Next day it would be at his house, and then we'd gather at my house, and then so forth. It was never meant to be about a building. Because the Lord says your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. Yeah. And therefore, you are a walking church. I bet you $1 that the reason you've read the Gospel of Thomas is because you're searching. You just don't think the church has the answers, and I didn't either. I left the church. I thought they were nuts. I'm telling you the truth. I got into the New Age because the New Age embraced the supernatural. Yeah. I used to have lots of supernatural encounters as I was a child, and I went to the church. They didn't have answers. As a matter of fact, they said, stop doing that. That's witchcraft. I'm like, I'm not doing nothing. I'd go out of my body.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
Not witchcraft.
Yeah. Anyway, so I went to the New Age religions. I went to Buddhism, Hinduism, all that stuff. And I finally came full circle because the voice that I heard when I fell to my knees, my dad taught me to pray when I was real young. On the side, God bless Mom and Daddy's spot and all that stuff. It was the same voice. And it was Jesus, I just knew it was.
Yeah.
But that's how I came full circle. And you were searching, or you wouldn't have read the Gospel of Thomas. Did you read the Lost Books of the Bible? Is that what that was?
Not really.
You saw that movie from Dan Brown? No. How'd you even find out about that movie?
Just know. I read stuff. I read all the time.
So that concludes our part with silence. There was another guy that was right behind her, and his head was down, and you could just tell this man needed a touch from God. And here's Joseph and I talking a little bit about that in the recap.
Anyway, so after that, we walked to the next guy, and this guy, he had his head down. You could tell he was
Derek.
Yeah, really heavy, man. And we just ministered to this dude about how God got us out of the pit. And, I use Matthew 6:33 a lot, guys. I use it a lot. I'm like, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. I walked away from a big company. I walked away from employees, penthouse, boats, and cars. And I ended up living in a room. But you know what? I've never wanted that. The Lord's my shepherd. I shall not want. I was telling this guy. And we got to share our testimonies with him. And you know what? He needed to hear it, man. He needed to hear it.
Let me say something about that very thing. Guys, sometimes, and I know y'all know this, but I just want to, bring it back just to refresh your memories and your minds. And it's always good to be stirred up from time to time. Sometimes when we go out, we're scripture ready. And then sometimes when we go out, like today, it was just about telling your testimony.
Yeah. And
man, did that ever open up doors.
Yeah.
So after Derek, that was the gentleman's name, and we prayed for him. And like I said, I have to apologize for the audio. It was very loud. And then next, I saw this bus stop. There's a bus stop in front of the casino. There was people there from Ohio, Virginia, Minnesota. A lot of people come down to Mississippi to stay warm and gamble a little bit. So I guess they left their cars up north because they was taking the bus. And man, we just started preaching, man. You never know. You never know, man. Sometimes God will just hit you, and then you're just talking. And a lot of that audio wasn't very good. But here's a little bit of me sharing my testimony with a couple of ladies behind the bus stop. You can kind of make it out. So I wanted to share.
Dropped to my knees. I said, Lord, I need to know if you're real. I need to know right now. And that's when he spoke to me. 1995. That's why I go out. He changed my heart. I stopped being greedy. I was making the money. I wasn't a holy roller. I was taking advantage of people. I'm going to tell you what. The love of money is the root of all evil. I was doing evil. I was doing evil. I ended up living in a room, but guess what? God supplies all my needs according to his riches and glory. I've never been in want. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. I don't have a $65 million jet, but I got something. I got something that cures.
That's right.
Something that heals. You know, my dad died of a brain tumor. All the money in the world.
Right.
But Jesus heals.
Okay, so on Saturday, Doug came over. It was Doug, Joseph, Susan, and I. We all got to minister together. And we wanted to go help John Roush. I interviewed John Roush a couple of times on my blog at ConradRocks.net. He has an amazing testimony. He used to be homeless in Mobile. Check out his testimony under the testimonies label at ConradRocks.net. He also has a book out, The Lamb and the Homeless Man. I'll put the link in the show notes. But anyway, he's a true success story. He used to be homeless, and then he is now ministering to the homeless. And in Mobile, he's ministering to the same people that he used to hang out with when he was homeless. It's amazing. So before I move on to the other stuff, like I said, it was pretty loud. I can share a little bit, but he was ministering to this one man who is really struggling. I mean, this guy, sometimes people, they just want the stuff. Sometimes people, they just want the food. They just want you to be quiet or whatever. But this man was searching, and a lot of us got to do some personal one-on-one ministry, and I have a little bit of Rusty sharing his testimony with this man.
I had 3 children that were taken from me when I became homeless. I just felt like I was a little closer to them when I stayed in Mobile, especially when I moved to Tillman's Corner, because they were in Grand Bay, if you know what that is. So, I served a demon, man, for 5 years. Actually, beer can.
Man, I wish I had some more of the John Roush testimony. If you want to hear his testimony, check it out on the ConradRocks.net testimonies label. You can find him there. Now, a lot of people look up to him there. He just started ministering to the homeless in that area recently. Now, we ministered to a guy. His hands were very swollen, and he had big cuts on him, and he was attacked by someone else with a machete, and he tried to defend himself. Wow. So, and he didn't have a place to sleep. Sometimes people are not allowed into the Salvation Army to sleep, and a lot of people have to sleep outside, and they at least need a tent. And because you guys helping out, we were able to get this man a tent. So he was very grateful for that. We also met another guy named John, which we run into from time to time. This man is turning into a success story. I mean, he's always a pleasure to speak to. He loves speaking about the things of God. And, he started ringing the bell of the Salvation Army. I mean, this guy, I believe he might be another John Roush. I mean, I really think he's got, we're really excited about what God is doing in his life. And also, there's another man who we met recently out and about with John Roush. He operates highly in the prophetic and the words of knowledge and words of wisdom. He's only been saved for 2 years, but he's an amazing man. His name is John. Now, the last thing before I start sharing with what Susan is going to share in this video clip is one-on-one personal evangelism. Sometimes we'll see that churches, while having a good heart, they're going out and reaching the lost or reaching the homeless, they're feeding them, and they're preaching a sermon, and then they'll have an altar call, but they're not doing one-on-one engagement much. So we make sure to speak to every person there one-on-one. It's just the way it should be done, So Susan's going to be talking a little bit about that in this clip.
Amen. Susan, you ready to talk about what impacted you the most?
I really, really enjoyed talking to John. We met John, this black gentleman, who we first met at the same park, and he's really turned his life around. He looked really good. He was so happy to see us. I don't know, I just really enjoy it. I spent a long time just talking to him, and he really seemed to be glad to see us. So that was my main thing. The guy with the machete cuts in his hands, we fortunately keep a first aid kit in the back of the Holy Roller, so I was able to go gather together a lot of these big bandages and some tape and some cleaner. Gave him a whole package of those wipes so he can keep his hands clean. So he promised me he was going to keep them clean and dry and keep them covered. I didn't see him do it. We left him with quite a few supplies, so hopefully he's going to follow through with that.
Amen. All right, and thanks to you guys helping out. You know, it's really interesting the last few weeks. Strangers have been coming up to me. Joseph's been with me like 3 times. People just come up and say, here's some money for the homeless, and we were buying supplies with it, and you guys helped us get a tent for the guy with the machete hands. He needed a tent, so I ran out to Walmart. I was like, you know, the money was burning a hole in my pocket. I'm like, I'm going to use it somehow, and we got him a tent. You can watch that on the story. And also, you guys, I put stuff on the homeless wish list on ConradRocks.net under the support page. So if you go to the Amazon homeless wish list page, I prioritize things that we're low on, and you can get it, and it ships directly to us.
We won't just get it and just give it out.
Yeah, they get the gospel.
One thing we do differently is we keep everything in the Holy Roller. We don't just lay it out and have everybody take off with it. We try to hang on to it until we know the Lord's kind of speaking, okay, this person needs this.
Yeah, so we don't just give out sleeping bags willy-nilly.
There was a lot of people there that probably would have wanted a tent if we had, you know, because even though they may have one already, they would, of course, like a nice clean new one, but we knew this was the guy that needed the tent. So
yeah. Well, there you have a brief recap of what we did over the last few days. We love Jesus. Jesus changed our life, and I like to tell people you need to have a spiritual relationship with the biblical Jesus. Amen. If this has touched you, please like, comment, rate, share, subscribe, whatever you could do. It encourages us to keep on going. Thank you for being in my life. Until we meet again, dig deeper and go higher.
Dig deeper, go higher at ConradRocks.net.